Welcome back, everybody, to Starting Six Podcast with Haley and Liv. We have another super exciting episode today. We have quite a few housekeeping things, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our opinions mostly, not too many facts really, but about name, image, and likeness, and what that looks like in the volleyball world specifically, but also as a whole for athletes. So kind of the first episode we're doing that's kind of more broad across kind of just all college sports instead of just volleyball, but we'll be hitting a couple volleyball players that stand out due to the ability for NIL. So with that being said, Liv, how are we doing today?
We are doing fabulous. It's been a bit, but me and Haley were able to see each other this past weekend for our friend Taylor's graduation. Well, she's graduating this coming weekend, but I wasn't available. So we went to visit her, and that was super fun and super exciting. And it's good to be back in person with each other. So I'm still on like my highs from that weekend.
I agree. And there's just something about going back to your college town that just brings like a whole sense of like excitement almost. Like it's almost like going to your hometown, but better. And like there was just like something just feels so homey about being there. So that also helped. But yes, getting to spend an entire weekend with you guys was just a blast. So now we get to look forward to girls weekend in June, which is even better.
So excited.
Yes, I'm excited. And you have something very exciting coming up this weekend.
Yes, I will be in Minneapolis to see Luke Combs in concert. It was my boyfriend's wedding present to my sister and her fiance. So we got tickets for all four of us, and we're going up to see. So I am dying. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you. He's been like taking over my TikTok.
I know. I'm just so excited. And I've heard that it might rain, but it rained at his concert in Chicago, and it just made it even better. So I'm like, I wouldn't be that upset about it. But I'm just super excited because he's so good live. So yeah.
It's crazy that no one's talking about, like, he's also like, I feel like, and me especially, but like everyone's been so like Taylor Eras Tour brain that I feel like people are forgetting like Luke Combs is also selling out stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously different levels to it, but it's kind of been under the radar until he just came to Chicago. Sure. And then since his show in Chicago, my TikTok's been like Taylor, Luke, Taylor, Luke. And I'm here for it, but like it's just kind of funny. He's kind of been like under the radar, at least for me. I'm sure there's people out there who are like, where have you been? But yeah, that's very exciting. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see videos.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. I'll try not to blow up my Instagram and Snapchat too much.
Blow up your Instagram. I hate people who throw a fit about that. Like, just skip them then if you don't want to watch them. But I think you should just go absolutely feral and post everything you want on your Instagram.
I'll just make sure that Jack's not singing in the videos because that would be horrendous.
Maybe like one or two. Yes. For shit singing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have too much, so I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't been to like hang out, so I'm excited to get down there and spend some one-on-one time with her. So that should be fun, but pretty low key. Yeah. I turned 24 next week, so that's crazy. I know it's kind of scary almost, but that's pretty exciting. So a little early birthday celebration. So I'm excited about that. But we have some fun housekeeping stuff to get into. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so big news. USC is coming back. Three-peat, winning the Natty Champ 3 years in a row. They were number 3 going into the beach tournament this year, and they won 3-2 against number 1 UCLA, which was huge. They were down 2 straight matches to come and win out in 5 matches, which was awesome. And then they got to run into the ocean, which is so cool. But they have won 5 of the last 7 national championships for beach volleyball. So that's huge. That's crazy. Like to think about that.
Literally insane.
Yeah. So that's the big news. We both unfortunately weren't able to watch a lot of it. I do know that the championship was streamed on ESPN, which was great news to hear that a lot of people were able to watch it. We just unfortunately didn't have the time and capability to watch it, which I wish we did. But I heard it was great. It was a really good kind of I mean, I think it's a great upset to win your third in a row and then to not only be number 3 going into the tournament, but then to be down 2 straight matches and then winning in 5 is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what sport you play at any level, being back-to-back-to-back champions is absurd. I mean, like if you're thinking about it and you're a true senior, like you have had 3 of your 4 years be national like natty champs, and then if you're a junior, you have the chance to have a natty champ your entire career. That's like unheard of. Like that's not like a normal thing, and it's almost like it's exciting that this was getting so much more attention for them because like I mean those are like that's the kind of dynasty that like you would talk about in like men's basketball or football. So like that's a dynasty in women's beach volleyball. Like that is absurd, and it's crazy too because the way they play it is so different than like playing on a court. So more girls actually get to be involved, which is surprising because it's only 2 girls at a time.
Yeah.
But the way that they do it where like it's matches instead of like sets.
Yep.
So like girls got to play the first round that they lost. Yep. Girls got to play the second round that they lost, and then the third, the fourth. Like so it's kind of interesting like to see how that all works out, but it's also cool that like so many people get to be a part of it because only 2 can play in the championship match.
Yeah, I think it's a really creative way of doing it, like you said, because there's only 2, but it's still a team aspect. So I think it's super cool and awesome for them. And still on the beach volleyball, TCU, I want to do a shout out. They had Beach Pair of the Year. It was Daniela Alvarez and Tanya Moreno. They got the NCAA Beach Pair of the Year, so that's pretty exciting for them to get that.
Yeah, that's super cool. TCU was ranked, did I say second? They were second?
Second or something like that.
They were up there. They were top. I think they were second, which is cool.
Yeah.
Go Frogs. I don't know if I've ever watched TCU at anything else.
TCU was second, so.
Okay. Good for them. That's exciting. It's cool when awards like that go to girls who didn't win the championship. You know, like it's nice to see that because I feel like USC will have All-Americans and, you know, the whole shebang. So cool to see that. Well, speaking of creative, Wisconsin dropped their non-conference schedule. And I don't know what it is about teams that I'm following nowadays because the first team, like I don't know who hired like the social media people are for some of these teams, but I'm obsessed. So like for example, when Aaron Rodgers officially left Green Bay to go to the Jets, the Chicago Bears posted a GIF, whatever you want to call it, on Twitter everyone has probably seen it, of the big bear like waving goodbye. No context, just that. Like everyone knew why, but like I don't know who's in charge of these social media accounts, but I'm loving it. Quick Trip is another one. Like, I know they're not a sports team, but if you don't follow Quick Trip on social media, especially TikTok, you are just missing out. Their Twitter is relentless.
Yeah.
It's happening all over the NFL too. Like I just saw a tweet. I think maybe it was the Charger picture, like you post to on Twitter, was the Pop-Tart box with Kermit the Frog on it. I was like, who is running these? I love this. I love the casual, so like, funny. I think it's so funny. So Wisconsin posted a video. I saw it on their Instagram on Monday. And each non-conference team got a meme or a video meme, I guess, to go with it that was related to their team. So I screenshotted my favorite ones. So versus Baylor, that they're playing at Minnesota, they did Bear in the Big Blue House, the goodbye song with the moon. And then versus TCU at Minnesota, they did the evil frog meme with Kermit, which is so funny to me. My all-time favorite was when they play Arizona, they did a clip from Get Your Head in the Game from High School Musical, because that high school is in Arizona. And then anyone who's a Badger fan, even in remote, has seen this video of the honey badger carrying the little crocodile, alligator, whatever it was, and they used that video when they play at Florida.
Yeah.
So those were my highlight. There's a bunch of them, so I highly recommend going to look at the video. But those were my personal favorites. As soon as I saw Bear in the Big Blue House, I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this, because that was like my shit growing up.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was so creative. And then at the end, they had a graphic with Julia Orzel and the actual schedule. And Liv and I wanted to make sure we pointed out they are playing versus Marquette in Pfizer Forum, home to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Hey,
I need to go to this.
we're going. Mark your calendars.
I will be taking off work on Thursday so I can go to this game on Wednesday, and I'll also be taking work off on Wednesday so that I can go to the game.
The whole
I'm
week, I'm
excited.
taking the whole week off.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I think that they'll be making an effort to break their personal attendance record, which was set when they played Florida last year at the Kohl Center. So I'm excited. I think now it's not a football stadium, but I think that a full Pfizer Forum for a Badger game would be a blast.
It would be.
I think it'd be really cool. And they don't play in the Milwaukee area too often.
No. And that's what I was going to mention. It's really cool because Marquette is located in downtown Milwaukee. And just, even though Madison's not Milwaukee, it's just kind of cool to be having two Wisconsin teams playing in such a big arena, I guess you call it, but yeah, an arena, right?
Yeah, it's an arena.
Yeah. A huge arena that's so, like, you think of Pfizer Forum, you think of Milwaukee, you think of Wisconsin. And so it just like is all like my favorite things. It's just Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin, and I just love it. And I think people from the state and from the city of Milwaukee really appreciate that. Like, it's just, it feels really homey, even though it's like a competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that often. Like, you don't get that with football. You don't really get that. I mean, you kind of get it with basketball, like Marquette and Madison playing, but especially like with football, you only have the Badgers playing. So it's not like, oh, it's Wisconsin versus Wisconsin going head to head.
Yeah.
But here it is. And then having it located at Pfizer Forum, it's really cool. And I think a lot of people are going to be there to show their support for the state and the city.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like for people who live in Green Bay, kind of like me, it's almost a little bit easier for me to head into Milwaukee instead of Madison. But it's the atmosphere, I think, that's the most fun, because you're obviously in the Deer District and everything, which you don't necessarily get in Madison, in my personal opinion, because getting to the field house and Camp Randall is ridiculous. So I think that's going to be like the most exciting part, is like, yeah, it's a weekday, but I think people will make almost like a little trip out of it, and they'll, go get food and get drinks in the Deer District and get to see that whole thing. And then entering like Pfizer Forum like almost feels like you're going to like a Bucks game, like a professional game. So I think that the atmosphere will just feel a little bit different, even different than it would at the Kohl Center.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited about that. I wish I agree with you about the Marquette thing. I don't think it'll be like a fantastic game, because I don't think Marquette's going to be really like up to par this year. Yeah. But the atmosphere, like the vibes, everything, I think would be totally worth going. So I'm super excited. That one is September 13th.
September 13th, yeah. Okay.
So super excited about that. But if you haven't watched the video, you have to. It's
highly recommend.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Love the creativity coming out of there for non-conference. And then speaking of non-conference games, Nebraska has released the 3 locations that they're going to be playing, all of which are in Brazil. I'm not going to attempt to say them because I will sound ridiculous. But they're playing at 3 different locations in Brazil. They did not release any dates with those, just the 3 locations.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be there
in 18 days.
May 29th to June 4th. That's when they'll be in Brazil.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
No information on being able to stream or anything like that. So
yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to do that unless it would be like through the Nebraska website or something like that.
I would assume there probably won't be one, so we'll just have to keep up with those scores.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the last housekeeping thing we've got?
Last thing, we're jumping back to Badger alumni, Sydney Hilly, just signed to play for the Real Pro Volleyball Federation. So that's one of the new pro volleyball teams or clubs, I guess you could call it, in the United States that's forming. So she just signed today that she'll be joining that team. And there's been a whole bunch of people joining that team or club, as well as the other pro volleyball clubs that are forming in the U.S. So that's just the one, just because, you know, we're Badger fans, and it hits kind of home when it's Sydney Hilly. So that's exciting to see her play in the States and not have to see her go across the seas. So
yeah, I'd be interested to see who might come back. You know, like Dana Retke or Logan Eggleston, or girls who decided to go play overseas. It would be interesting to see them come back.
Yeah.
To join this. You know, we don't have too many details on what the process is to be a part of it. Like if it's a tryout, if you're recruited, like there's not really too much information on that quite yet. But if, you know, when you have influential players like Sydney Hilly jumping on board, and in the video they posted, she seemed pretty like, I'm doing this. And I think that attitude might inspire some girls who have been overseas for the past year or so to come back. And you just reminded me, speaking of comebacks, Jordan Larson is back.
She's back.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this. She is back on the USA national team. Oh my God.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. They did a nice post for her. It was great. I'm really excited about that. She has to play volleyball forever.
She cannot stop. She can't retire.
Yeah, she's like Michael Jordan.
She is.
All right, cool. So we're gonna get into talking about image known as NIL. So basically the perfect definition to being yourself.
Sorry, you were frozen, so I couldn't hear you what you were saying.
Oh, you're good. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so definition of NIL is basically being legally compensated for using your face, your name, your team, your school, anything like that. And this takes place at the Division 1, 2, and 3 levels. So this is a whole NCAA thing. It's not just Division 1. It's not just Big Ten. It's across the country. And so basically what I like to think of it as, when I'm scrolling through TikTok and influencers or random people, for the most part, are trying to sell me things, that's basically what these athletes are doing. And they're making a lot of money doing it. And I have some of those numbers here shortly. So the NIL was instated on July 1st, 2021 by the NCAA. Something cool that I want to note about this is female athletes are dominating. Dominating. Now, I think this is two things. And I want to get your opinion on this too. I think it's because girls are easier to post on social media. Like they're more comfortable doing it. It's more common to see girls doing this. And girls are the ones using social media.
Yes.
I don't want to follow men.
No. I think about and I think about if my brothers had played college sports and had NIL deals, they don't even post as normal people. Like it would be a chore for them to then post for NIL, you know, for a company, for a brand. It would be a chore, and then it would just be sloppy, and they wouldn't put a lot of effort into it. So like that's just my personal experience with my brothers. But I think some are able to, but I think they also have the help with it when they have like those big brands and sponsorships and things like that. They have people helping them with it, because I think you're right. Like females, women, they love social media. They put the time and effort into it. They like posting. They like creating new content and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier for them to keep up with it and to get more brands on their side.
Yeah, those are like the two things that just stand out to me, because I don't know any men in my life who have been influenced to buy something off of Amazon because someone on TikTok told them to.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think targeted ads maybe, but not in the way that like you or I know I have many times. If you have an Amazon storefront, I'm in it. Okay. So it's just kind of interesting in that aspect, but Yeah, it's crazy to see. So I was kind of looking at what does this mean? So female athletes are kind of dominating it.
Yeah.
So gymnasts are running the table with NIL, running it. I don't know exactly like why. I think it's, there could be a multitude of things. I think Livy Dunn, she's a TikTok star. I think she's spearheading it for the most part. But then they said women's basketball was next, not surprising after the past couple of months.
Yeah.
And then softball and volleyball followed after those.
Yeah.
Softball, interesting to me. Very interesting. It's not my personal cup of tea. However, it has been all over.
Yeah.
Like my LinkedIn even, like it's all over Big Ten's social medias. So that's cool to see. So bravo softball.
Yeah.
So I did a little looking into some numbers just to back up what I'm saying about the female. So this article is from Sports Daily. It says that for female athletes that are fortunate enough to be among the top 100 earners, those deals can amount to more than the salary of a professional athlete. Female athletes in the women's NIL top 100 stand to earn a staggering $13,500,800 in 2022, which averages out to about $135,008 per athlete.
Wow.
That's insane. So there's a couple, I also want to reiterate this. There's a couple different things of how you're getting paid, because in my opinion, the easiest way to do is you have to go viral on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, period. However, that's not the case with everything. So sometimes it's based on popularity, performance, and the relevance of your sport, which of course is not shocking. And then it goes into say that gymnasts are dominating, just absolutely destroying the top 100. However, women's basketball held 39 of the top 100 spots for NIL.
Wow.
Which I thought was really cool. Okay. Livy Dunn, the gymnast, $2.4 million.
Yes.
The next athlete, Paige Bueckers, I don't know, basketball player, $818,000.
Okay.
Tori Ortiz from track, $167,000.
Okay.
Montana Fouts, softball, $145,000. Julia Bergman, volleyball, $95,000. And then it goes into golf, lacrosse, and soccer. Yeah. So obviously Livy Dunn's just like destroying everything, but pretty big numbers. I mean, $818,000, that would be nice in my bank account. So just crazy numbers that is being put up through whatever, really. I mean, if you're good at your sport, if you're not.
And that's really just like an income at that point. All of their schooling is pretty much all paid for. Like they got scholarships, full ride. So it's really just a very steady income at that point while you're in college, which would be wonderful for every athlete to get, because you don't necessarily have the time, energy to have a job during season, during the whole year. So it's nice that like it's still giving them a way to be successful after college and not absolutely broke like some people are. And I think going, us being at D3 and we didn't have that opportunity when we were there, it would have been really nice because we don't get the athletic scholarships and don't necessarily get essentially like paid to play. And all we are riding on is academic scholarships. So then I shouldn't say we are all. Some people really do need to work a part-time job during the whole year of all their school years. So if I wish D3 was able to monetize their NIL a little bit better than I think they have, just because, I was one of those students that was working during seasons or off seasons, and you're just drained at that point just so that you're not coming out of college with absolutely no money while still having to try to play your sport and things like that. But
Yeah, so I actually wrote a paper on this for my master's program, and I did a little bit of like research about the benefits to this.
Yeah.
And yes, $2.4 million, that's definitely a benefit.
Yeah.
But a couple like points that they had on was like you're teaching 18 to 24-year olds
Yeah.
how to be financially responsible with this amount of money that's coming
Yeah.
in. You're teaching them how to sit through contracts, how to work with an agent or a lawyer. You're teaching them how to work with other companies. I mean, there's going to be athletes who are going to be able to use this money to start a business,
Yeah.
to build on a business, to invest. I mean, the like the financial knowledge that they're gaining from this is insane. And it kind of goes hand in hand with like a lot of my favorite influencers. They're doing, I mean, it's ultimately they're doing the same thing. They're getting paid by brands because of their face, their following, their personality, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's cool to like think about too, because like the influencers I follow, like this is their job. Whereas like these people see their job as playing their sport. And then they're making money for doing so. So they don't have to worry, like you said, about having a job because they're working while they're playing. Which is a really cool way to set, I think, these student athletes up for success.
Yeah.
What do you think are like some things that like why do you think the NCAA was like so hesitant to like kick like this off? Like what do you think are like disadvantages to it? Like if there are any?
I think the I think like I I'm stumbling over my words because I don't know. I think like the backlash, because I know a big thing was like, do people like or people using like your name and your image without consent, basically, I think was the biggest thing. So working through that was a big thing. And then I think like just now you're even more in the public eye, and you have more publicity on you, so that there's more opportunities for not great news stories to possibly get out from this. Like it's a business transaction. Like there can be a lot of shady things happening. We don't know what's going on. And then that gets out, and then that goes back on NCAA, you know, or the school.
Yeah, you get canceled or something.
Yeah, there's a big thing with that as well. And I had another point too. And I think then too, just like realizing that you're paying 18-year-olds to play sport. You know, I think that's also like a hard thing for some people to grasp. Like in the public, like I think then you have, well, and then you have to decide like, okay, is it every sport or is it just these sports? And then is it all divisions or is it just these divisions? So then I think there's a lot of logistics too. And I think that's why they were so hesitant, because they knew that they were going to get a lot of backlash for doing this. And like if they only kept it at D1, all athletes were able to get NIL deals. And then you have Division 2, Division 3 player athletes, and then just the public getting really upset over that. And so I think there's a lot of logistics to figure out with all of that too, and making sure it's morally acceptable and ethical too, because I think, like I said, there's a lot of slimy people out there, and they might, once they get your name and your image, they might try to run you through the ground. Like, I don't know, you never know who you're working with. So I think there's just a lot that goes into it. And when you're 18, 19 years old and you get this offer and you're like, oh, that sounds amazing, but you don't actually read the fine print and you don't know what you're actually getting into. They're just very intrigued by the brand that was interested in them, and the number and the amount of money that they're going to get, that they don't like think about that like this is a real job and you have to put in the work, and things can go bad and things can go sideways. So I think there was a lot to think about for NCAA, so that all of their base or everything is covered for them, like so that they're not going to be liable for anything that goes wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I think another point too is like, what does this mean for the NFL, the NHL? Because you're now drafting players at contracts, like, you know, you're getting paid X amount of money for being a first round pick in the NFL draft, but these athletes could be making that money already.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, who's going to pay me higher than what I'm already making?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so that part I think is interesting too. I would imagine that the professional teams were like not overjoyed about this. But yeah, I think you hit the main points too, like that I was kind of thinking. I think also just like having to be really weary about what brands that you're partnering with, you know, like it's, you know, probably not ideal to be the face of an alcohol brand when you're a student athlete, especially when you're in college because you're underage for most of it. And so like trying to like navigate saying no to brands that don't fit your sport or you know or being like don't fit in the being an athlete world or you know kind of things like that I think would be really hard to navigate. I know like Wisconsin specifically has hired staff that specify in NIL to assist these players. I'm assuming with hiring third party lawyers, managers, agents, the whole thing. But it's cool to see that like now there's literal people for this like on campuses that you can go to and be like, hey, this brand reached out to me, you know, what do I do? So but yeah, I mean I would imagine like being 19 years old and a brand reaches out to me and wants to pay me tens of thousands of dollars to post about their product, like I would not read a single thing. I'd be like, sure, what do you need right now? Here's my bank account number. Like I don't even think I would not have hesitated one bit. So yeah, definitely interesting. I think there's a lot of pluses to it. And I think this is the way the world's moving. So either, you know, get on the train or fall behind. So it definitely makes sense. And yeah, I mean, if you're the NCAA, like you can't claim that you want to see your athletes succeed post graduation and post sports and then not do this for them, you know?
It'll be interesting to see what changes happen with NIL and all of the rules and stuff because NCAA just put out like the new rules and regulations in 2021, which are in effect right now. So it'll be interesting to see like how those continue to evolve and to change and what that's going to look like. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I can't imagine that it's going to stay like these rules and regulations are going to stay here past 5 years. Like things happen, stories break. News comes out and it'll change something either for the better or for the worse, but I'm not sure. So
yeah, it's wild too. I mean, for example, not necessarily volleyball, but the Cavender twins, they have been viral. They played for Miami. They played women's basketball and they are huge on TikTok right now and social media. And they decided not to take their 5th year and instead are rumored to be partnering with WWE, which is sick. So like there's even people who are ending their careers because they have careers already. Like they're ending their sports careers to pursue making more money is really, you know, into the business world. So it's kind of crazy, like the opportunities that it opens up for you. Really cool to see. I do have a couple of people in the volleyball world to highlight. So the top grossing college volleyball player as of 2022, she is now an alumni, is Alexa Hendricks. She's a DS for Louisville, or she was. She's an alumni now. So this is according to the internet, so this might not be totally, this is what I could find, okay? You can't like find people's bank accounts or anything, but according to what I found on Google, her NIL value at one point in time, my guess would be 2022, was $116,000. She's got 112,000 followers on Instagram and 254.1 thousand followers on TikTok. So she's got a huge following. I did a little digging on her Instagram. Some collaborations she has are with Uber Eats, Beamster Cheese. I don't know how you get that, but I need it. Amazon, White Box, and Revolve were the ones I could find. So I went onto her Instagram, like to look, you know, just to look or whatever. And she has come up on my TikTok For You page a couple times, but I go to Instagram and I have people who I follow on Instagram that follow her. And it's like weird to me that like that's probably how they found her. Whereas like we were watching her in the national championship, but
it is weird.
It's kind of weird to think about that. So her NIL value at one point in time, $116,000. The next player that came up was Julia Bergman. She was an outside hitter for Georgia Tech. She's from Munich, Germany. She's an alumni now. So what I found interesting about her NIL value, according to online, was like $98,300.
Okay.
She does not have a TikTok.
Oh.
Which is crazy to me. However, on Instagram, she has 123,000 followers and she's verified. So I looked at Instagram. She does no post sponsors. I couldn't find a one.
Really?
Not a one. I could not find one. So my guess is I know she plays professionally, and I believe it's with Brazil. So my guess is that a lot of that comes from her time playing professionally, even while she was in college during the off season. But I just thought that was really interesting because in my brain, making the most amount of money would be making it on social media.
Exactly.
So I thought that was really interesting, but those were the two that continued to come up at the top of the list. Other honorable mentions, Nicklin Hames, Nebraska alumni, not surprised about that at all. Logan Eggleston, Texas alumni, not surprised about that at all. And Devin Robinson from Wisconsin. Yeah, she was on the list. So this website called on3.com.
Okay.
I think this is an NIL website, and I don't know how accurate this is, but for sake of conversation, it gives you the list of people's followers and their like NIL valuation.
Yeah.
So outside of Alexa and Julia, Logan Eggleston comes up with, I don't know, I think this is on her total followers across social media. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Logan Eggleston has 78,000 followers total, and her NIL is about $59,000.
Okay.
The next was Brooklyn Noonviller from Oregon. 210,000 total followers, $55,000. Okay. Nicklin and Alexi have about the same at 48,000. Kenzie Knuckles, 45. Allie Batenhorst, 43. Not surprised at all of these Nebraska players. This one was interesting. Liz Grigorski, who was now a former Badger. She is following on this list at $43,000. Devin Robinson shortly behind at 42. Devin Robinson has a lot of followers, 136 total.
Damn.
And then more big names: Maddie Skinner, Maddie Kubik, Claire Chaussee, Anna Smrek, Kayla Caffey, Anna DeBeer. I mean, all the big players: Lindsay Krause, Danielle Hart, yada yada. So kind of interesting to like actually see it like on your phone, but it's also crazy to think like $116,000 is a lot of money, and then you think about Livy Dunn making $2.4 million. Like that is insane.
Yeah, it's like a fraction of what some of these players are making.
20 years old, and having $2.4 million, and this is like a year. Like it's like a yearly income.
I can't. That makes me sick knowing that someone younger than me has that much money.
I can't even imagine. And being a full-time athlete on top of that, it would be.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, but it's cool to see. It's like cool to like also see the brands that people choose. Like I know Devin is like is big with Bubbler. The Uber Eats I thought was great. I think is great for athletes for sure. So it's cool to see like who they pick to partner with. I can't I don't think I follow Nicklin Hames, but she had one brand that whoops.
I've seen some of them that she has, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Oh.
Thomas.
What?
Hemi Thomas is a Sky Sox athlete. She just re-signed. So the White Sox has their own NIL program, and she's a part of it, which is sick.
That's pretty cool.
So she's got to like thrown out like first pitches at White Sox games. So
that's so
go
cool.
Temmie. I'm your number one fan, Temmie.
Yeah. I know a lot of people do like little partnerships. It's not like necessary for monetary purposes, but just like free merch and stuff with like their local like coffee shops or like hometown boutiques and stuff like that, which I think is cool because it gives them a bigger name when those players are showing support and sponsoring them. So I always like that. You know, the big names are great for the players for the money aspect, but I always think it's nice when they kind of give back to their local small business owners and stuff like that.
I know, that's so cool. Yeah, I can see Nicklin's, the one I was thinking of was Scooter's Coffee.
Yeah.
Most of the Nebraska girls have that, which is awesome. She's also H&R Block.
Yes.
So they probably do her taxes. So it's crazy because they're probably paying her a lot of money for that.
Probably.
Fabletics. Yeah. So it's great. It's like cool to see like the on brandness of it all. Which is awesome. So really cool to see. But like, yeah, I mean, speaking of Temmie, she's got Wisconsin volleyball in her bio.
Love it. Love.
When I start seeing pictures of her in the field house, I'm gonna freaking lose it. I am so excited. So anyway, yes. So NIL, super exciting. I'm excited to see how this continues to grow because TikTok's only gotten bigger in the past year. Instagram's coming back. YouTube coming back. So I'm excited to see where people take it. I also love to see athletes breaking into the podcast like world.
Yes.
You see a lot more of them doing interviews. Like I said, Livy Dunn, obviously she's like a TikTok personality in my opinion before she's an athlete, but she did BFS with Barstool. Like it's crazy to see them like kind of breaking into the media world really. Whereas like you don't really get too much of that, I guess.
For sure. Speaking of that, I need to make sure I get her name right. Victoria, she was Victoria Garrick, but now she's Victoria Brown. She played for USC and she was has her own podcast now called Real Pod. So that's who I think of when you talk about like athletes getting into podcasts, and she talks about everything under the sun kind of thing, but she's really big into like the body positivity and like the realities of being an athlete and being a female athlete and being a woman and things like that. So she was the libero for USC a few years back, but she's the first person I think of that used some of like her name, image, and likeness. I don't know if at that point she was getting money for it, but use that and her story and everything to then now she has this ongoing and growing podcast and is a big name in the podcast world too. So that's just what I thought of, and it's related to volleyball. So
yeah, super cool. I'll have to listen to that because I feel like at some point we'll have to have that kind of conversation and the body changing stuff because it really is crazy and it's hard to like feel like nobody understands, and yeah, it's wild. So we'll have to touch on that soon, but I'll have to check that out. That's really cool. Yeah. So anything else on NIL, my dear?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. Like I said, I wish we had it.
I know. Okay, here's fun. Oh, this is fun. Okay, let's say that there was no limitations at all, but what, like if any brand you could have reach out to you and you would be like a sponsor for in this way or like use your NIL for that's related obviously to like the sports world, what brand would you pick?
Oh God. I don't know.
I don't know either.
The first thing that comes to my head, just because it's a new brand that I like was recently introduced and I love it. It's a athletic clothing company. It's called Paragon. The best, I will say, in my opinion, the best leggings I have ever had. They're so buttery soft and so nice. It would be pretty cool to get like sponsored by them just so I could get like the clothes from them. And that's just the first thing that came to my head. And they're not like a huge company or anything like that. But I don't know, there's so many and I don't even know all of them.
It's so interesting you said that because after I said I don't know, Lululemon like immediately popped in the head. Like immediately. Yeah. Because that's how I feel about like their leggings. Like I would live in them. Yeah. I wear my little belt bag like every other basic girl in America. But I also feel like kind of basic, but like Celsius, I love Celsius. I love a Poppy. Oh my God, love. Those are like, I feel like pretty realistic. Yeah. I mean, I could sit here and name all my favorite brands, but like they're not really necessarily doing it. I think Uber Eats would be sick.
That would be awesome.
Like would be really sick. I feel like anyone could do Amazon. Like they wouldn't really reach out to you, but yeah, I think Lululemon would probably be my number one, and I would put Celsius at a close number two because if they were selling me like just sending me free Celsius, I would be very happy.
Yeah. So I was telling you earlier, Jack's brother's girlfriend, she is a wrestler and she has NIL and she is sponsored by, or is, I don't know what the verbiage is.
It's like a collaboration maybe or something.
Okay, perfect. She collabs with Celsius and she gets free packs all the time of just random ones. And so she's like, have you tried this one? Have you tried this one? I'm like, no, I'm not that lucky to just get free Celsius sent to my doorstep.
Oh my God, I wish, dude. They're expensive, like can by can.
Yeah.
They have them in big packs at Costco. I just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
My heart probably doesn't need all of that. However, like I have one of those and I run all day.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
They're
free ad, I guess. But like I will have one of those at 8:00 in the morning and I will be like walking 5 miles when I get home from work at 5:00. Like I am like moving, grooving, getting things done after I drink one of those. Yeah. But yeah, that would be, oh my God, I just like, ooh. But imagine getting like free Lululemon in the mail. Oh my God.
I would die. Honestly, just get free anything in the mail, like.
Yeah, someone reach out.
Anyone wants to sponsor
Someone reach out to me and Liv. We want free things.
Please. We'll blast it on our social media. Don't worry.
We've got to get, once our TikTok takes off, like don't just wait on it. It's coming. But okay, cool. So little quick recap. We talked all about NIL, brands. Check out Wisconsin's video. Seriously, go look at it. It's so funny. Congrats to back to back. Super exciting. Sydney Hilly. See you soon, babe.
Love you. You're frozen again. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Am I frozen or are you frozen?
You were frozen. On my end,
I thought you were frozen. On my end. This is how much did you hear?
Nope. We're struggling.
Oh my God, I can't hear anything you're saying.
Okay. Are we okay now?
Okay, I hear you now. How much of my spiel did you hear?
Not really anything.
Okay. And scene. Okay, let's recap. Okay, I'm just swinging this around like
I know.
It's nothing. Okay. Okay, quick recap. Talked about NIL. I would take Lululemon / Celsius. Liv would take, what'd you say it was? I need to look into this brand.
Paragon.
Okay, Paragon and Celsius. So Celsius, if you want to send me like a bucket hat or something, like please do. Like I would love it. I love you. Sparkling orange kiwi guava. Give it to me. Okay, so anyways, I'm like thirsty now. Congrats to USC, the back-to-back champions. If you haven't seen Wisconsin's non-conference video, go look at it. Look at it. So good. We'll be seeing Nebraska very soon in Brazil. Super exciting. Sydney Hilly. See you soon.
Love you.
See you soon, babe. Can't wait. And congrats to TCU for Best Beach Duo of the Year. I was gonna say that's the coolest title ever. Like imagine us winning like Best Duo of the Year. Like, yes, please. I wouldn't even tell them in what. I would just
all the time.
Just don't even tell people in what. Just be like, yeah, we won Best Duo. Period. All right, so we will be back next week. Thank you again for watching and subscribing and following. Our following on Instagram and TikTok goes up every time we post. So thank you to everybody for doing that. And if you're not following,
do it.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.